So I guess we're probably getting a little clearer, or maybe I am, and maybe you can help me out, is what I'm hearing is that, again, part of the confusion may be this fact that you don't really feel like you're able to express your true self, because you do have this pressure.
Yeah, that's, definitely.
Coupled with the fact that, hey, I've got this pressure, but B, I'm not crazy about just displaying my stuff out in these formats anyway, that it's constantly critiqued and compared.
Yeah.
But then I did hear you say, I love drawing by myself. I love my own stuff,
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Okay. So that sounds like that could be somewhat in the mix here in terms of that confusion and so forth.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think I like to draw, I like to do my own thing, but I don't feel comfortable with, everyone telling me what they think of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard being critiqued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't experience that in high school, really.
And you were creating and.
Yeah, I got more into drawing my senior year, but it wasn't for class. It was just, mostly on my own through high school.
Right.
So I guess the closest I came to it was, grades on papers and things like that, but that didn't bother me really a whole lot. The one thing, it's funny that you mentioned, just kind of being on display, I noticed when I was in track and knowing that all the stands, everybody in the stands were watching me, that made me feel uncomfortable too. So just being in front of a really large group of people, or even a small group, and when they're all focused on me, that I think even in high school made me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I don't want to take away from that, but I know that can be really a pretty common thing, or folks that's very difficult.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any easier for you. And certainly that could be something we could look at. I think and maybe you can help us kind of identify, it sounded like the first thing is maybe I want some clarity on my decision. Seems.
Yeah, I think I'm still just not knowing which direction to go.
Okay.
Even though I'm kind of leaning toward moving.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward moving. Just sounds kind of fun and exciting, and I'd love to leave the Midwest for a while at least.
Okay.
But it's kind of terrifying at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big smile, and you kind of lit up when you talked about that, the exciting part of it. So.
Yeah.
What would be, because we've got time, it's not like we've got to solve every problem here and now. And you said that you were on the stress level of this was about an 8. And what I'm wondering is, what could you do between now and our next session a week from now that might decrease that stress level, even if just a little bit?
I don't know, I guess one thing I could do is look into where I would live in California, because I really haven't done a whole lot of research.
Yeah.
So maybe looking in, that might make me feel a little more confident if I know kind of about jobs and, apartments and things like that.
Sure.
So I could, just research that a little bit. That might make me feel a little bit better.
Okay.
Even if I don't make that decision, at least I'll be a little better informed about.
And then that can kind of help you feel a little more settled about.
I think so. Yeah. I can even tell, I feel more comfortable when I, think about doing that. So, yeah, I could do that.
Okay. Okay. So we will kind of make that a plan then, if we can. And you're saying you're at a stress level of 8 now, and possibly by looking into this, and who knows, but possibly by looking into it, getting an idea of what rents are, what sections you would live in, that type of thing, could help you feel more settled, a little more calm about a possible decision.
Yeah, I think so.
A year from now, what would you like Megan, this is going to sound strange, what would you like Megan to say to Megan? Imagine Megan's a year from now. What would be ideal?
Ideally, I would say to myself, look what you were able to do. hoping that I, would have moved out to California. I think, you're able to find a place and get a job and get back into school.
Okay.
So I think just reassuring myself that it will work out. No matter what I choose, that it will work out.
Yeah.
Everything's worked out in the past for me. So.
Yeah, and that you've made. I guess what I'm hearing is that hey, you've made an informed decision, whichever way it is, and you feel better about what you've done.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Good. So with the decision we've got that you can kind of look into the rents and so forth, so we've talked about that. We still have some issues related to kind of the being critiqued and even in small groups or what have you. And then also kind of the comparison of others, which sound like they're kind of meshed. Like, oh, I don't like to be compared to others, and I don't like the focus to be on me and stuff. And where do those fit in terms of what you would like to work on? Would that be...
I would definitely like to work on that, because I think, just noticing it as kind of a pattern, like that it did exist in high school and probably way before that as well. I think it's important because even, with jobs and school in the future, it's probably going to come up again.
Oh, sure.
So I think I'd like to address that as well.
I'm tempted. We've already got kind of a goal for next week. I think it's important with the kind of therapy that I do that we keep it really kind of bite-sized, if you will, so that let's tackle one thing at a time.
Okay.
But I do want to maybe open it up if that is something you'd want to discuss now. I don't know if you feel like if that's where you'd want to go, you'd talk more about that, or just kind of open it up.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something that we, talk about maybe the next time after I have my list.
Okay.
Just because I don't feel like that's definitely not the main stressor, and I'd love to just focus on probably the move or the school situation.
Sure.
It's probably the biggest thing that's been on my mind lately. So.
Great.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Okay. So then, just to summarize, if what I hear is that, man, you've got a lot of strengths to be able to even think about these moves. There's so many folks that wouldn't do that; they would just stay in the same old rut, and even stay in the same situation because it's pleasing others. Versus, and what I'm really get a sense from you is that, hey, if I'm not coming from what's true to me, then I just, I lose the passion, I lose everything, and even if it upsets folks, I get a sense you would handle that well, even though they might be upset. But it's like I've got a pretty good sense of me and who I am. And don't agree with me if you don't. But this is kind of what I feel.
Definitely. I mean, I do feel that way, and I know I've never done well with doing what other people want me to do.
Yeah.
I've just never done well with it.
Okay.
And in fact, I'll usually fight against it.
I even get a sense that you're effective with that, that you don't kick up too much dust. So
I think that's definitely true for me.
Okay, so this is a huge strength of yours, is that you understand who Megan is and kind of your desires and what you kind of need to do. Yeah. Even to the point of when I do get a little confused, I know to come in and maybe get some outside help. So our plan then is to take these strengths of yours, apply them to the search, and then we'll just come back and kind of look at and check out your stress level, check out what you found out, and take it from there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Thanks.